Let's try that again. All right, my bad. I haven't done that in a long time. Sorry, guys. I am back up.
Okay.
Get back in. Whoops. Sorry. Carla's laughing. I was connected to the internet in the house and YouTube didn't like it. So that's why it looked funny. So I had to stop it and start it over again. So
I'm not back.
I'm back.
There we go.
All right. It's a mess when that happens. Everybody else will find us. Hopefully. All right, here they come. They found us. It was like, oh, beginner's mistake. Good says hi. Hi, Good. You probably weren't here when I crashed and burned because I had the wrong internet up. Hopefully everyone else will come back and go like, hey, what you up to? But I'm back. And we were talking about my birthday. Isabella says, hello again. Hi, Isabella. Yes. Apparently the internet in the house is not good enough from the garage.
It's too far away.
It's too far away. And in my zeal to get on, I didn't check and see that because sometimes it automatically switches over, but today it did not, so my bad. Good says, cheers from London. Happy birthday. Thank you. Teresa says, hi, glad the volume is better. So you were saying about your birthday? Yeah. Oh, I had lunch at our favorite sushi place and I lost my tooth during lunch, so they gave us our lunch for free. I thought it was in their sushi at first. It didn't hurt. It still doesn't hurt, so that's nice. It's just weird. You get to an age where they can leave on their own, I guess. And after the show today, then we go to my son's house and have cake that my daughter is making. Teresa says, did you say tooth? Yes. A tooth went whoop. But I got a free lunch. Gonna have to go see a dentist, I guess, and see what's up with my mouth. But yep. Jen says, happy birthday, Siofra. So sorry about your tooth, but yay for free sushi. Yep. Violet says, hi, you two. Hi, Violet. Oh my, life is interesting. It's been a strange week altogether. Someone that my daughter has been taking care of, working for, has just passed. He actually passed this morning. So that has been a little bit of a intense situation for her. And then another friend, a neighbor of hers, fell and broke his hip, but she found him and he's doing okay. He just went through surgery yesterday. And then we had a bunch of encounters with the fairies this week who were helping us out with our car. And our car is now working, so yay, we're hoping it stays that way. Erin says, hello. And Teresa says, as long as it was not your gold tooth. Yeah, I was thinking it would be nice if it was a gold tooth and we could sell it. Violet says, happy birthday again. Thank you. Yeah, it's been an interesting week all around. And then birthday night, I went through about 3 hours of some Kundalini activity, which was different than usual. So that too was interesting. So yeah, altogether it's been a good week. Talked to my mom, who of course is 95, so she says her goal is to make it to 100. And I said, yeah, that'll happen before you know it. Time flies when you get older. So yeah, life is what it is. It happens all around you, and then you adapt or you don't, right? With the gentleman that passed, my granddaughter asked me to do some Reiki for him, and so I did. I focused and sent some energy to him in the hospital and saw his parents standing by his bedside waiting for him. So I was pretty sure he wasn't going to last long. That was like 2 days ago, I think. So, a day and a half. Anyway, Astra says, hey everyone. Hi, Astra. Melinda says, hello. Good says, does dry fasting intensify meditation? What's dry fasting? You'll have to tell me what that is. Like no food, but consuming liquid, or what?
Try.
Oh, right, that'd be the opposite. You'd be not. Yeah, because never mind. Tell me what it is. I don't know. Belinda says, I believe it's fasting with no food or liquid. Good says fasting without food or water. I see. Just like not having anything. I think it might depend upon your system and your health. I mean, certainly water is one of the things that we need more than food as far as that goes. You can probably go for a couple of days, though, without too much harm unless you have a medical condition. And certainly there's plenty of cultures where fasting is one of the things that they did for visions, meditation, certain religious practices, and spiritual pursuits and so forth. It's going to be an individual experience like everything else. So there's no one answer saying that it would definitely increase or intensify your meditational practice.
Yeah, when Medicine Lake West, he writes about it. He casting it up for while he was out.
So you had like a one food thing.
Yeah, because it's all about the nature.
Okay.
But where mugwort headband.
Mugwort's for visions. Right. And a lot of pagans use mugwort under a pillow for dreams as well. Or drink the tea. Same type of thing.
Better than not as bitter as wormwood.
And so Teresa says, I was going to guess fasting without booze. Asher says, that sounds dangerous with no water. Carla says, wouldn't lack of water give you hallucinations? Which is, for some people, visions, I guess. Asher says, so who watched the UFO whistleblower disclosure? I think I missed that. I saw it go by, but I haven't had a chance to watch it. We've been watching some other shows. We're watching the UFO show on National Geographic right now, and then we have Elizondo's book, Imminent, coming. Violet says, there's something odd with Ian's microphone, so you're too far away from it now.
That's because you've gotten so canted that I was sitting in the cameras.
Oh, I see. He's trying to stay out of door frame.
Yeah, I'm not dressed for.
I see. Well, maybe that will help. Remove my water altogether so it's not muffling you, and move the microphone more in the center.
I can talk more.
Try that. So Asher says, I believe the guy because he describes being possessed by the feminine energy of God. When he got near the craft, he was crying. Interesting. It says, hi everyone. Hi Beth. Teresa says, Ian can wear Siofra's shawl. Well, he still doesn't feel ready for camera, so it's not just the shawl. It's cold here this morning. I'm sure it's not as cold as where Teresa is, because we don't have minus temperatures, but for us it was pretty cold. We have frost this morning and yesterday morning, and so it's a bit nippy out. Unusually so for our location. Asher says, I had a similar spiritual experience with the UFOs and have a telepathic link. The show confirms some of the things I've experienced. I'm sure there's a lot of different types of experiences, but when it comes to that, because I'm sure that they're not all the same thing. There obviously are different kinds of things coming around. So we were pretty jazzed about the fairies helping us out this week. That was kind of fun. Uh, Helping Ian, giving him a very tiny uh, nut. He lost a nut on the vehicle that he really had to have, and it was a very unusual size. And he got out of the vehicle to see if he could go dig one up out of one of his toolboxes, and he found one on the ground next to the car. It was exactly the right size, so that was pretty good. They also helped us to get his medication. We walked by the spot where we found them. It was on the floor next to his chair. And we walked by there for what, 3 days? Because we had bought them earlier and they weren't there. And then when we were starting to search for them, all of a sudden they appeared on the floor. So that was pretty
right
cool.
In the middle of my path where I couldn't walk around.
That's right. Made him look. And he said, "Hey, here's my bag." There they are. How did they get here? I'm like, I don't know. So that seemed to be a pretty clear assist on the other side there. Teresa says high of minus 25 centigrade today. Asher says, I think the actual orbs and UFOs are living beings, goddesses and angels and fairies. Carla says, we're getting sub-zero temperatures starting tomorrow. This has been a long, cold winter. Trinity says, hey, Siofra and Ian. Hello, everyone. Hi, Trinity. Asher says, a lot of what people are describing sounds like contact with the old gods. Yep. There's still a lot of information. On the program we were watching, they're setting up actual scientific instrument stations in different parts of the country to gather more data. So at least a bunch of the scientists are taking this whole thing seriously now. Anthony says, any tips on awakening Kundalini? Try not to do it on purpose or too quickly because it can be fraught with some hazards. Meditating, learning how to ground, clearing your chakras, working on yourself, clearing out the things that are going to block you, which are going to be shadow work kind of stuff, can help a lot so that when the Kundalini is ready to rise, you don't have too many bad or unpleasant experiences with it. It's a much easier kind of transition. I just got annoyed after 3 hours because I wanted to go to sleep. And so I found a way to go to sleep.
He's got a really good book on it, though. That Swami Shivananda, good book for beginners. Like some of the others, like the Star, which is hard to.
Okay. Astra says people need to stop expecting little green men in a metal spaceship. That's not what this phenomena is. Beth says, it snowed a little here today. I always put extra food for the birds when it snows. That's nice. I'm sure they appreciate it. Joel says, blue caps apparently come in educational administrative tenure. I'm totally grateful to be able to learn once again. Welcome, Joel. Carla says, we're getting rabbits. Beth, we feed them too. Oh, bunnies. In the wild, they only live like 1 to 2 years because, they get eaten, unfortunately. But in captivity, 5 to 12 years, so yay. I was looking that up the other day, trying to see about our little bunny and if he is full grown or not, and I think he is probably full grown at this point. Astra says, what the whistleblower described happening sounds like a Kundalini awakening. Teresa says, have you repainted your temple in that nice purple? No, this is the old purple. We need to repaint the temple, though. I mean, I had this set up for the class that I did on Tuesday and that I'm redoing tomorrow. The Sacred Space class. I set up a little altar behind me for the classroom experience to talk about some of my objects and so forth. So I had some problems with the Zoom, trying to figure out how to make it work right, and some people were having trouble getting in. I now figured out how to do registration without having to approve it, but I think I'll just send people the link So we're going to do it tomorrow at 2 my time. So whatever time now is, pretty much is when it's going to happen tomorrow, and I'll post the link on the community page on our channel. And we just broke 15,000 subscribers, so that was kind of exciting. Just now edged above that. Beth says, Carla, oh, that's so cute. We used to have them. Rabbits. Yeah, we've seen some wild rabbits in our area, and they're pretty cute. And then there's some domesticated rabbits that people unfortunately have just let loose. I hear about them. I haven't run into one at this point, but I've certainly heard about them. And they, yeah, they get posted to some of our local pages when people say, has anyone lost a pet rabbit? Because the guy's really friendly and comes right up to people. Yay, I'm warm enough I can take off my shawl. Well, that way I can get back into the house because it's cool out there. Ah. We. Ah. Carla says, oh, I hate to hear that. Yeah. Robert says, hello, everyone. Hi, Robert. Teresa says, congrats on 15,000. They must have come across your What's Next video. Yeah, I don't know. I still lost a total of 6 people, I think, from that one, but, you know. Jam says, hi, beautiful hugs. Hi, Jam. Anthony says, I was rubbing my forehead until it was raw and red because of the Kundalini energy tickling my brain last night. Well, that's annoying. You don't want to rub yourself raw. It's so interesting. It certainly is. I mean, the activity I was getting, it was very specific. It was doing like this kind of stuff to my legs and just kind of bouncing it around, and then going into each chakra and then coming up my spine one chakra at a time as it was heading up to the top. So it was a pretty good, and it was both front and back. So both the front and the back end of the chakra and so forth. And lots of energetic tinglings and whatnot that were happening. And Beth says, I'm feeling extra tired today. Anyone else feeling it? I was feeling really tired yesterday, but today I feel okay at the moment. Barbara says, Beth, it was yesterday night that I had to sleep 11 hours to recuperate. Earth is sometimes a mess on a vibe level. Yeah, yesterday I remember feeling in the afternoon just kind of zonked, tired. But, you know, I'll take care of ourselves. I think my Kundalini's probably been coming up since I was about 6 or 7, somewhere in there. I remember receiving instruction before going to sleep every night on how to feel the energy in my spine and you know, sense it going all the way up and experiencing each of the chakras, which I didn't know what they were called. I just knew where they were, how they felt. Carla says, sun's at solar max. It's exhausting. Astra says, the fairies woke me up from their giggling. Trinity says, we're going to have a freeze and some snow in Texas. My heart goes out to the stray animals out there, especially the dogs in my neighborhood. Wow. Barbara says, yeah, by eating right and doing exercises and to keep our mind busy, Kundalini started in my life. Sometimes my spinal column is having a fire kind of pressure. Weird. Yeah, it is an interesting experience. I mean, it's hard to describe because it's so subjective for one thing, but internalized for another, even though it feels like it's coming external. Like, yeah, there's nothing else that feels quite like it. Beth says, Robert, that's tough. I hope you can get comfy tonight and get some good rest. Astra says, I'm like, it's 3 a.m. Very cute. Now let me sleep. Robert says, Carla, the sun? Thanks for the insights. Oh, yeah. We're having all kinds of radio blackouts. We've had a whole bunch of solar storms and stuff of late. Jam says, today I got my spiritual rods and crystal. Used it today. Got a lot of energy and relax. Cool. Teresa says, I've been breathing in goddesses when I go to bed. I'm trying to get goddess energy to fill my bedroom. Sounds nice. Sure, you have some statues that you can use to help with that, and maybe some magic mirrors that you've made. Use them to like hang them on the wall and use them to fill the room, and then have other mirrors next to them facing the wall to keep energy you don't want out. Violet says, when you upload your live after it's over, you should listen to the first 5 minutes so you can hear what your microphone is doing. It's clear, but it is different. Once you hear it later, you can decide. Robert says, yeah, it's hard to define. It's like the spine has a little bit of heat on it for a couple of minutes a day. Carla says, yeah, it'll calm down end of the year, but it's kind of intense. The sun. And Violet says, just being thoughtful, not complaining. That's okay. We have what we have at the moment. Jen says, I'm tired, but I'm sick right now, so I figured it was that. Well, it could be. And when you're tired, of course, things are certain things impact you more because you don't have the energy to like pull them off. Robert says, yeah, I used selenite, or should I say selenite satin spar. Whatever you call it, it's still some kind of selenite. So Gaga says, can you ask your ancestors to charge a sigil? I don't know. Why would your ancestors charge a sigil? Why wouldn't you charge it yourself?
Why would they be any better at it than you?
Right, exactly. It's if it's for you.
Unless you have an ancestor that was an accomplished magician or something.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, you charge your own sigils, not have other things do it for you. That's the whole point of the sigil, is to make a personal power object. Teresa says, I'm going to get statues and will enliven them. I'll review the mirror situation. Jam says, mirror, why? Stand in front of it. We're talking about making magic mirrors for one. And a magic mirror is a device that you create that you can charge up to bring in specific kinds of energy into a space. That's why I was mentioning those. And other mirrors going in the other direction can serve as reflecting negative energy away from your space. And so if you want to be sure you're just getting the positive energy that you're trying to pull in through a specifically charged mirror, then putting a mirror facing away from it to reflect it, make a reflecting surface going in the opposite direction. So you've got like reflection going this way and then pulling the right energy you want coming in that direction. Then it I think can enhance it, and depending on your situation, especially if you have someone who's bugging you. Luo says, hello. Hi, Luo. Astor says, my mind starts racing with the spiritual information. I was seeing geometric math and symbols and colors. Then I look over and saw a little face staring at me, deadpan expression. All right. Good says, does Kundalini awakening allow you to perceive the spiritual world and its relationship to the material world? It can. It depends on how far in it you get. That's kind of the idea of a full Kundalini awakening, is to connect you to the divine, to the Akasha, directly to the spirit realm, and being able to see those connections. So someone who's fully awakened in the Kundalini, that would probably be a yes. Astra says, the fairies just like watch me a lot and I'm just sitting around. Yep, they like to watch me too. And Carla says, I love selenite. Beth says, Jen, get well soon. Yes, Jen. Robert says, yes, it does good. For instance, I started to see 3D forms on certain surfaces. Started 2 weeks ago. It's a super bizarre and in some ways scary. Well, when you're like, yeah, when it first starts, definitely things change. It can be kind of scary. Teresa says, as for my scrying mirror, my friend George, who passed a few years ago, indicated that he'd be willing to come through. All right. Shay says, hello all, happy birthday weekend, Siofra. I'm headed to the hospital to visit my neighbor, but happy to be here soaking in the live stream. Have a good visit with your neighbor, Shay. Thank you for dropping by. Beth says, hi, Shay. Astra says, but I need a regular meditational practice because the Kundalini amps me up and my mind is just overwhelmed and sometimes with information. Well, that's why grounding is so important. Grounding helps you to control that kind of thing, and setting up a specific time when you allow it to happen so it doesn't build up a charge so that then when it comes up it's like too intense. Robert says, happy birthday, Siofra. It was also mine today. Happy Capricorns. Well, happy birthday, Robert. Gaga says, I was thinking the more people you have charging up something with the same intent, it would be a big difference versus by yourself.
And
No.
if they're all on the same,
Yeah.
on the same wavelength, that's the difficulty.
Yeah. And depending on what kind of a sigil it is, that's really going to depend, I would assume. Beth says, Astra, it can get so intense. Anthony says, my only fear is not being grounded with Kundalini awakening. I do not want to end up like that guy you knew in town who was running that cult. What could cause a crown chakra to be way too open and collapse like that? The guy that predicted like a plague was going to infect dairy products? Oh, that guy. Yeah, he was seriously, he was not grounded. I don't know that his Kundalini was awakened. I don't know that that would be what had actually happened. I've only seen 2 people who had a collapsed crown chakra, and he was one of them. And it was just very bizarre. It was like I think if you spend too much time trying to do a specific kind of thing, like maybe he was like all in his head, literally and figuratively and spiritually and all other ways. And so he had no connection to the world, no grounding mechanism, no basis for what is real and what is not real, no ability to discern the difference between someone's fantasy thought and ideas and a real spirit being or situation or what have you. And he failed in his attempt to start a cult. He was trying, I think. But he was like, yeah, delusional for sure. And that's the thing, is like when you're getting into this path, staying grounded and being clear about what is and what isn't reality is how you help to keep yourself from magical delusion and magical psychosis and getting pulled into a conspiracy theory of magical proportions that, you are required to do something that would be normally against your nature in order to quote unquote save the world or something like that, and get things all twisted up in your brain. So grounding, definitely, and doing practical things, eating, sleeping, walking, touching trees, interacting with life on the planet, things that belong here, things that are rooted, that have touch, having a touchstone. You can have a special rock in your pocket, even. And if you get confused or feel like you're being ungrounded, you can grab a hold of that rock and realize where you're at. You want to be able to control when you're going off into the other side and netherworld and spirit realms and so forth, and not have it controlling you, because then it becomes a curse instead of a gift. And I think that's why a lot of people who have these abilities don't think of them as gifts, because they can't control them. If you can't control them, then it becomes something that's being done to you rather than something you're doing. So yeah, definitely. are all about balance and control and boundaries. And this guy, he obviously didn't have any boundaries. I mean, what do you think a guy is thinking when he walks into a pregnant woman's house and starts babbling this stupid, crazy stuff and thinks somehow this is a good idea? I mean, talk about invading someone's space. Clearly, he didn't worry about my boundaries at all. And he didn't have any of his own. So I think that's definitely part of it. Jam says, I asked spiritual rods how many angels around me. They said 6 of them. How do I know they are good angels? Well, in general, angels, if you have angels, they're have your best interests at heart, unless, I don't know, some angels might be bad angels. They might have their own agendas.
A lot of that's, you know,
Interpretation.
Well, grammatical. What's the name?
There's that too. So Teresa says a weird thing happened when I was imagining a mirror reflecting back an attack. What happened instead was that I saw his reflection in the mirror coming through the back. So I flipped the mirror to face me and that stopped it. No, that's backwards for sure, comparatively speaking. But whatever works. Maybe you need to put something on the back of the mirror that is more of a blocking thing, like a piece of stone. Something you can't get through. Robert says, Anthony, being grounded can be done in many ways. Just 5 minutes a day when you wake up, put some roots below you. Anthony says, thank you, Robert. Astro says, I watched this TikTok of the schizophrenic guy who said the hallucinations can be all-encompassing, and it took him a while to get a hold of himself. I'm not schizophrenic, but he made sense. I take it that means he's a schizophrenic, not a medication. I met one of those once. It was a very interesting conversation, hard to relate the conversation. I had to do, I don't know how I had a good conversation with him, and he was impressed with my ability to have a conversation. So, you know, I got some interesting information from him. But yeah, it takes a definite special kind of brain. When I went through my psychotic break, I actually had to learn how to stop the hallucinations altogether. And yeah, so I'm feeling more warm, so I'm gonna take off the sweater. Yeah. Jam says, happy birthday, Robert. That says David's birthday was the 16th. All right, happy birthday to him. Robert says, thanks, Jam. Astro says, and I could relate the overwhelming information. Yeah. Teresa says, I'm going to use another mirror and have it facing me and filling it with loving vibes and roses to reflect love to me as I sleep. Sounds good. Carla says, ask how many angels of the divine are around you, Jam. Jam says, I did. They said 6. Carla says, happy birthday, Robert. And says, thank you, Beth and Siofra. I'm eating lots of oranges and veggie miso soup and resting as much as I can. Good. Carla says, if they're of the divine, then they're not fallen. Jen says, happy birthday, Robert. Robert says, thanks, Jen, and thanks, Carla. Teresa says, Robert, have a nice birthday. Maybe do something nice for yourself. Sam says, I have one right next to me. Rock. Good. Rocks are good. Melinda Hall says, this is so important. Good. That says, I had a friend out of state ask me to do long distance chakra work on her. I said no, putting up boundaries. Well, yeah. I mean, it depends on how you feel. I do the Reiki stuff, which can include, you know, chakra. The Reiki itself can do work on the chakras, but boundaries are important. Definitely. And it's okay to say no. Anthony says, happy birthday, Robert. I hear washing your head with coconut water and wishing that you want in this year is good luck. I wonder who does that. People who live with coconuts, I'm assuming.
Well, I know that Santa Rita and stuff use coconuts, especially Obatala, which
They would be people who live with coconuts.
Yeah.
Do you live with coconuts, Robert? Asher says, yep, that's what I've been doing, practicing going into states and grounding. Started making art to express emotions. Good. Violet says, you are a very good teacher, Siofra and Ian. You keep us all grounded. I love it, and thank you for sharing. You're welcome. I love it and you for sharing. Yes. Gaga says, somebody from my job got shot and had a near-death experience. He said it was foggy on the other side like a mist. Well, that is sort of the in-between place that I've seen. The fog's misty place. So that would be near-death for some people. I think it's like everything else. It depends on what's in your head when it happens. Robert says, I will, Teresa, thanks. Siofra, did you ever work with any agates? If so, can you tell what do you use them for? I have agates. I have no idea what I use them for. I have like blue lace agate. I like that. I use that for my water wand. And there's like a kind of an agate is that like a moss agate. We find there's agates on our beaches. Our local beaches have agates. So my daughter's collected a bunch of those. Like anything else, just depends. I don't just work, with things and then remember what they are. I work with them when I need them and then move on to the next thing, whatever it happens to be. Astor says the schizophrenic guy was also spiritual, and he realized it was his own thought forms and subconscious. And after he confronted his traumas and is careful what kind of person he's around, symptoms improve. Good. Yeah, I know. I have no doubt that that was I was seeing a lot of that thought forms and having memories between lives and after death experiences and a whole bunch of things that were happening all at the same time. So, not sure that that's true for everyone. That may be one of those things. It depends on the individual. But certainly dealing with the traumas that you have in this life is going to be a benefit no matter what it is that you're doing, because it helps to clarify who you are and clear out any, leftover stuff that you might have in this life, so you're more likely to be able to see what's going on. Teresa says, in New Orleans, if it's your birthday, strangers stop and give you money. But only if they know it's your birthday, right? On my mom's birthday, my sister made my mom buy a happy birthday crown. So then everyone knew it was her birthday, so that would have worked. If she was in New Orleans, she could have made a killing, especially having turned 95. They'd probably get some good luck from her age, right? Asher says, I think the guy was also extremely psychic. Rhinum says, greetings. Recently, the universe presented us with some of your 2020 content, and it's been an interesting binge the last few days with what has felt called to observe and integrate in our own systems. Awesome. Yeah, we have been at this now for a while, haven't we? And a lot of the early stuff I put up because I thought it was really important and I wasn't sure how long I'd be doing this or if I'd be doing this at all. It's one of those things. Jam says, I saw a podcast guy said you can put a stone on your palm of your hand to bring your third eye chakra meditation in 20 minutes. I think it would depend on the stone. I mean, I'm sure that it would work for some of them, but I guess there are some cells in your fingertips that are the same as the cells in your eyes, so there is some relation between sight and your fingers, scientifically speaking, so I don't know. Robert says, I have snakeskin agates. I use them for having more confidence in myself or a situation. It was good for that. Snakeskin agates can be expensive. Palm of your hand? Interesting. Well, if snakeskin agates, I would think that would allow you to adapt to a situation more easily because you could change your skin, right? Take off an old skin, put on a new one, refresh yourself if it has anything to do with snakes. Who knows? That just says, I think a lot of people are having spiritual awakenings nowadays. I hope so. We sure need them. Carla says, can you guys sense the energy in your palms? I know Siofra and Ian can with Reiki, but if you put your consciousness in your palms, you can feel it. Yeah, I often feel it in my palms, especially when I'm doing healing work. That's definitely one of the times. But yeah, and then you can like project the energy, which is way cool. Jam says, is it the stone? It starts with A. What the name of? I don't know. There's a lot of stones. A, agate, amazonite, amethyst. Amethysts are good. We like them a lot. Robert says, true, Siofra. It does resemble serpentine stone healing benefits. I use labradorite to shield myself when I go in public. Yeah. Carla says, yes, you can. Robert says, aventurine. That's another one that starts with A, which is nice. Anthony says, any advice on developing a healthy and respectful connection with dragons in the astral realm? How can I reach out to them? Well, I would say being extremely respectful, for one. I don't do specific dragon magic. I've met a number of dragons here and there, and I have the one that I met out of Monterey, who's kind of like an ally at this point, who lives on Earth. And if I was ever in really big trouble out in the woods, I have a feeling he would come to assist me. I've ridden a dragon to the moon. That was a green dragon, and he was nice. I liked him. I don't know. I like dragons too, but there's some people that specialize in that, and they have certain things that they do. I'm not sure how valid the lore is, or how ancient it is, or how useful it is, or how effective it is, since I don't have that kind of a level of experience with it. Teresa says, how would we know if Trump's Kundalini started awakening? Just a random thought. I have no idea. Jam says, third one you said, amethyst? Gaga says, if a month-old baby dies, where do you think he or she would go depending on their state of mind? Well, I think at that point, their state of mind is pretty much like it was before they were born, so they'd probably go back to where they had been because they weren't ready to come as of at that point. So I don't know anything about their previous life or what they were doing when they decided to inhabit the infant. I'm sure they would go somewhere pleasant. I don't think there'd be like a terrible experience. They would just probably wake up where they had been and wait for the next one, I would assume. Anthony says, Teresa, LOL. Howard says, Teresa, if his Kundalini was awakened, that would explain his face being colored orange. Well, we're pretty sure that's spray on. Jam says it's purple. Yes, that would be the amethyst. It's purple. Pastor says, I'm still feeling sad about my friend dumping me because of the UFOs, but I'm trying not to feel sorry for myself or tell myself negative things. Yeah. I mean, if they're that shallow, that's why they dumped you, then there's got to be better quality people out there somewhere. Robert says, purple, amethyst. Trinity says, I was wondering what your thoughts were on labradorite. I love this stuff. It's another one of my favorite stones, and I use it a lot for shielding and protecting. Like Robert was talking about, shielding from other people. I have a labradorite bracelet that helps to kind of, I guess, mirror out negative energy sort of thing. Keep negative energy out, keeps it out there. I've also used it when we go traveling, if I'm trying to keep from being bothered by random ghosts that want to come along and have a chat, and I'm on vacation and not ready to work. So, depending on how you charge it, you can use it for a lot of things. And I love its natural reflexivity and its little fire that's in there. Carlos says his Kundalini will eat him. He's not self-aware enough.
That's undoubtedly true.
Undoubtedly.
He couldn't survive Kundalini without. He'd be making some big changes. Actually, had Kundalini awakening.
And if he wanted to survive it.
Those type of material aspects that he embraces are going to totally prevent even the Kundalini awakening. He has no spirituality in him that's real.
Pam says, yes, Robert. Purple. Robert says, Carlo, ha ha, about the eating. Everyone is laughing. Jen says, yeah, Trump's Kundalini would do something about that hair.
I think it would have to. Something better.
Teresa says, Jen, LLL. Robert says, Siofra, what is your method of cleansing your labradorite? I don't. I don't feel I need to cleanse it. I've charged it up. So, okay, I charged it up in such a way that it cleanses itself, I guess I should say. So it's not accurate, what I just said. If I'm charging a stone to do a specific job, I don't want to be cleansing it, like, separately, because then I'm undoing the entire charge of what I did. So then I have to start it over again and start from the beginning and then charge it up as if it was blank. That's how most people are using stones nowadays. When you see them, on the full moon, you need to, cleanse your crystals, and you need to stick them in salt or water or whatever, and then put them out to charge them. So what they're doing is they're decharging the crystal and then recharging the crystal, which is what they're calling cleansing, which is sort of technically true. But my view, the way my mind works, is that if I have a stone whose job it is to collect something negative, like obsidian or something like that, and I place it somewhere to do its job, I give it roots going down into the earth to dissipate the negative energy that it collects, so it's not sitting there like a black, icky hole of gunk waiting to jump out that I'm going to have to go cleanse before it gets back into the room. And the same with crystals that I wear on my body, things like, the bracelets that I use. There's different ways of grounding out that energy and setting it up in the beginning. So you program it at the start if you're going to use the stone for a certain purpose, especially if you want to charge it up with specific energy, to allow it to get rid of the energy that's not helping, that's not working. If it's just there to collect positive energy, then you really don't have to worry too much about it. You don't need to cleanse it. And if you've got selenite, which we talk about a lot, selenite will naturally cleanse any negative stuff in a crystal and charge it continually. So it'll enhance the natural charge of the stone. So if you are still worried about that happening, you can just take your stones. They now make bowls out of selenite. You can get a slab of selenite. You can have just a group of selenite crystals, and you can stick the crystal that you want to have cleansed into the bowl with the selenite, or on top of a wand of selenite, or surrounded by pieces of selenite, and the selenite will get rid of anything that's not good for you and for the crystal, and then will help to charge it back up, or keep it charged and increase the charge you already have on it. So I'm like, why go about doing this over and over and over again every month? That's kind of like a waste of my energy and my time.
But yeah, and you don't have to actually have the stone absorb anything if you root it down, and it automatically sends it. I like obsidian for that. You send it through the acacia, through the obsidian, or right down into the earth. Get rid of it. Stone doesn't need to store anything negative.
So Anthony says, have you heard of another world called Agartha? Do you believe it's real? I've never heard of it, so I have no opinion about it. I wouldn't be surprised if it exists on the astral realm, because anything and everything can exist in the astral that anyone has thought of. So,
True.
but that doesn't mean that it's real in the sense that I mean real, as in a physical location,
No.
place.
It's supposed to be located on the earth.
Oh, so like the inner world?
Sometimes related to the all of earth.
It's not real.
Esotericism, occultism.
Okay, if it's that, it's not real, not in the physical sense. It exists as a fantasy and in the astral realm, as a place that you can visit, but it is not real as far as the Earth is concerned. It doesn't exist. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Teresa says, is tomorrow the dark moon and Trump Day? Well, tomorrow is Trump Day, but I don't think it's the dark moon. We just had a full moon on the 13th, and this is only the 19th, is it? Yeah, it's definitely, we have a decreasing moon right now, so it's waning, but it's not, the dark moon's not until the 31st. I think that's when the black moon happens. It'll be the second new moon in the month. And when I say new moon, I'm meaning the astronomical new moon, not the magical new moon, which is the crescent moon. Which is why I did a whole video on the moon. Gotta know what we're talking about. But yeah. Jam says, podcast you keep doing, you will get to 5D where see people colors around them. Robert says, you charge it how? With your will and your brain and your energy and your understanding of the forces you're trying to charge it with, your ability to connect with those forces, whether they're elemental or planetary or esoteric or spiritual, your ability to visualize what it is, to pull that energy into you, hold the stone, put the energy into the stone, and give it that impression. You're like the computer program, and the stone is like the computer engine. You're putting the imagery and the energy instructions and stuff like that for what you want it to do directly into the stone.
You're doing it imaginatively, so in your imagination you compress those forces or energy or whatever you're working with into it, and in your imagination you impress upon it that it's going to stay there and it's going to work to perform function, and then you leave that as firmly as you can and charge the stone up that way. And then afterwards, except for times when you're charging it, you should try to avoid thinking about it too much unless you're actually charging it again, because you don't want to discharge the thought energy you put into it. So basically you're imagining the result, you're visualizing it clearly, and you're impressing it on there with your will, and it's actually easier to do than it is to describe. Once you've tried it a few times, you'll get the hang of it. You may find it difficult at first. I mean, I found it weird at first and wondered if it was doing any good and if I was doing it right and all that. But over time, you get the hang of it. You start to be able to feel it, and you can tell when you're stuff like that.
Yeah, if you're using your hands, you can often feel your hands get hot when you're doing it too. You'll feel the vibration of the energy that you're putting into it, so it can get pretty physical as well. So Jam says, people color around you see purple, yellow, white. Okay. I'm green and purple and white. I know that. I don't know about the yellow, though. Rhinum says, how interesting. We weave matrices of intent. Within most of our works for crystals, rocks, often they will speak of what they want to be used for, or in runed, or what combination for bracelet. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're trying to make a stone do something it's not naturally designed to do, it's not its natural inclination, you can force it to do it, but then you're wasting a huge amount of effort and energy on something, trying to make it into something it isn't. So picking the right stone and its natural inclinations for energy, like with labradorite reflection, that kind of thing, makes it much easier to actually do that. But yeah, it can be done.
It has those natural affinities. So unless you're an extremely powerful wizard or something, which I certainly wouldn't call myself that, so I'm going to use whatever's naturally assist me.
Well, it's one of the reasons why quartz crystal is good general stone. You can pretty much program it to do anything at all. It doesn't have anything that it is against or unhelpful with, so it'll pretty much take a charge. Sort of like having a white candle and a black candle is like your basic candle colors. You don't have to have anything else. Robert says, yes, I have a self-made bracelet of red jasper and labradorite and amethyst. Very protective. Yes. Carla says, I think some of the most interesting crystal work I do is with my cat. She's part Bengal, and was quite a handful. So I used calming, grounding crystals with her by placing them on her. Hey! And she let you. That's pretty impressive. Aliol says, is it possible for a human to enter spatium? If you have ever been there, what was it like? If you ever heard of it, of course. Spatium? Any ideas? I'm not sure what that word is. So you'll need to give me a description. Carla says our bond is significant. Yeah, I bet. Robert says brain energy or energy of brain. Brains! No zombies. We don't need zombies. Joel says voices in the caves. It's a Studios Ghibli film about Agartha. I've heard that the author was lost for where's in the charge, literally at points. Lost for weeks in the... Teresa says I got my dates mixed up for the moon. Yeah, well, it happens to all of us.
Well, I did read a little more about that, the Agartha thing, and the at least the Wikipedia article is of the opinion that a lot of it was fabricated. It was fabricated by an author. The author claims to manuscripts for a civilization pre-existing the current Indian civilization, prior Indian civilization before Kali Yuga.
Ah, okay.
So that kind of thing. But that's where.
Okay. Jam says laugh out loud. Robert says, hey, that makes me think of a question to you, Siofra. Do you have Indian artifacts like shaman flutes? No, I don't like bone. Human bones.
I
Not
would,
my thing.
I would go for artifacts myself if I thought they had been used by a master, charged up, or something like that, but actually I don't have any.
Yeah. We did hold that Tibetan skull cup, and that was interesting. When we were up at the ashram, when it was up in Portland, they had Tibetan thigh bone flutes, but I didn't want to touch them because I wasn't sure what I would see because of how I see things, and I decided to not look. So I don't know. But they're supposed to be from people that, are special, not just random bodies that they find on the street to make flutes out of.
Right.
But nowadays, who knows? Marketing being the way it is, anything is possible.
No, it's true, they're genuine artifacts or something, and that wouldn't necessarily have to be bones and things, but something that was owned or used by somebody who was an enlightened being or something like that can carry that energy, and they can really help a person out if you're in harmony with that kind of energy.
So Joel says, save the best for last, alluded by Vanessa Williams, and something inside so strong, alluded by Kenny Rogers. Long past for wearers in the deluge, Agartha, and what remedial astute offer those on look. I mean to divest, so. Okay. Anthony says, who's your favorite author when it comes to magic? At Siofra and at Ian. Well, I like Starhawk. I like, I can't think of her name right now. The one who was with Gardner who did all the poetry. I like her writing a lot. There's a number of authors that I find really interesting and good. As far as magic goes, I've read a lot of the other ones too, but Doreen Valiente, I like her stuff. I like her attitude and her approach to writing and stuff like that in the books that she wrote after she left Gardner. And I love her poetry and so forth. Robert says Paul Anka still does shows. Amazing. He's in his 90s. Oops, 83. Cool. That's the one that says who's your favorite author, which is what I just talked about. My favorite authors, Starhawk and Doreen Valiente. You have ones you want. You have Barden, of course. Okay. Rhythm says, have you either of you worked with servitors, tulpas, constructs, egregores, or similar types of magic? If so, story time for a few minutes. I don't do servitors, never did a tulpa. I've done an elemental. Egregores are created by groups, and we had one that was building when we had a group, but the group dissolved and it pretty much dissipated. Lots of groups have egregores. I'm not sure about constructs. Anything to add?
Not really. I've done some elemental bit in Barton's books. I haven't done any side of Barton's perspective.
Carla says, I have arrowheads and tools, no flutes. Robert says, nice, Carla. Sam says, I have a friend, we were talking about spiritual. Her mother was a spiritual healer. She cannot sleep a lot. She wakes up all the time with feeling somebody talking to her. What suggestions do you have? I told her meditation. Her husband says she's Cocoa for Cuckoo Puffs. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Some grounding exercises for sure. She might try, there's something that Barden had in his book that we have done, and it could be worth an attempt. She can buy a new knife, something that hasn't been used with a sharp point. It doesn't matter how expensive it is, or it doesn't have to be really super expensive. Get some copper wire, wrap the copper wire around the hilt of the knife, and then wrap the copper wire around the frame of her bed and back around the head of the knife. And the knife should be pointed down into the floor at the head of the bed. And that's supposed to help keep thought forms and spirits and things like that out of your dreams.
Yeah, when you charge it up, picture that it grounds anything out that might be coming at you from outside and sends it right down through the knife into the earth.
Right. So it makes your bed like a safe haven kind of thing. I would assume from what Lily you said about her, if it's happening when she's sleeping, it's probably she's a natural clairvoyant and a medium. And what happens, the reason why people get bothered by spirits when they're asleep is because the natural clairvoyant medium individual puts out a light. There's like that shines in that grayness on the other side. It shows up in their dark, as it were, and they're attracted to that light because that light is very similar to the light that helps them to cross over to the other side. There's a natural pull whenever they see that light, and they want to get closer to it, and they want to see what it is. And so when somebody who isn't trained and doesn't have control over their abilities goes to sleep and they're like not conscious anymore, then their light is just sort of out there, and these spirits see it, and then and since you're staying still in one place and you're not distracted by cooking or watching TV or walking or talking to other people, you're more likely to hear them. And then they're trying to get your attention and trying to communicate their needs or whatever, which can be very annoying and disruptive if you're actually trying to get some sleep. So I would think that that's probably what it is that she's dealing with. So doing like the grounding meditations and exercises and getting control over her abilities is also going to be a great help. And then you become more naturally shielded. So yeah, those are the things that come to mind as far as it goes. And they don't mean any harm. They don't understand that you're sleeping because to them everything is the same. There's no day, there's no night. It's not like they have like a printout of your house and what it looks like unless they're an echo, which is a whole different thing. It's nothing to do with whatever's around them. They're just replaying something. So yeah, that would be what comes to mind. Okay, so Rhinum says, nod, thank you for the feedback and information. Carla says, who's Barden? Is want to spell it out? I've only seen Buckland, and I'm super curious. I study Agrippa and the Pauline arts taught by a non-denominational pagan. Teresa says, does the copper wire need to be a certain thickness? No, I don't think so.
No.
Just so long as malleable enough for you to twist. And most copper wire, unless it's super, super thick, is pretty easy to maneuver. Robert says she can put 6 to 12 pieces of black jet by around her bed, she will sleep well, I assure you. Ghosts are afraid to being absorbed. That could help, I'm sure. Jam says she can not barely sleep. So hopefully my suggestions will help. Beth says, Siofra, your voice is so soothing, I dozed off. I woke up with an intense free fall. I'm sorry. Well, I'm glad that my voice is soothing. And Robert says, Siofra, why is it that selenite does what it does? I mean, is it because it's a super high vibration of frequency, even higher than most other quartz or crystals? Yes. To me, selenite is solidified light energy. It's like the closest to universal life force light energy that you can get in a solid state. And that's what it is. It's like that is the color of, like in the tree meditation, when you're visualizing the white, divine white light energy with the golden sparkles, selenite is the white color of that light. And it's kind of like the energy of creation that created everything and brought everything into existence. And it's kind of like, you know, the solidified form of that. So I guess that would be a yes. Jam says, yes, she says she cannot sleep. She goes to doctors, but barely gets sleep. But she does sleep. She gets woken up by voices. Jen says, you both are so wise. Thank you so much for your channel and all you do. Well, thank you, and you're welcome. Jam says, I will send her this podcast. Thank you. Yes, definitely. And maybe it will help. Carla says, laugh out loud, Beth. And Ian says, at Carla, Franz Barden is the author of Initiation into Hermetics, Practice of Magical Evocation, and Key to the True Kabbalah. Robert says, wow, thanks for these explanations, Siofra, and thanks also to Ian for tonight. You're welcome. I mean, you know, these are some of the basic things that we actually are pretty confident of. So from my own personal experience, being a medium who, you know, had trouble sleeping. Asher says, I was woken up by groups of Native American ghosts at 3 a.m. and a fairy woke me up to say hi to them. I waved at them and went back to sleep. Keep working those exercises. Every so often I have people come to visit. I haven't seen the native guy in a while, but he comes every so often to check on me. Asher says, the fairies are usually pretty good about letting me sleep. Good. I'm glad that they are getting their boundaries straight. Bill says, dually, I only came across your channel 3 days ago. I was blessed to be enriched by 3 lectures. Yay! Keep on watching. We've got 400 videos or so. Jam says, funny. Barbara says, so those selenite works good, raw or polished, just as good? Yeah, absolutely doesn't matter. Polished is better if you're going to use it on your skin, because the raw stuff can, like, you know, break off and sort of splinter a little bit.
I would add that anything that helps you imagine its reflective qualities better is good. So I would say that polished is probably better just for that reason, because you're probably going to be able to picture it reflecting easier. But as far as actual fact, polished or not makes no difference to its ability to work.
Right. I have like a selenite wand that's unpolished. That's probably about yay big, I think. And it's got a nice, you know, square sides. And so if I have certain crystals that I want to make sure get cleaned, I put them on top of the wand. But I also have like a bunch of crystals around it, and then I have other pieces of selenite, some spar, some, you know, some polished, some not, around the outside of them. So, yeah. And Beth says, Carla kisses. Carla says, thank you so much, very much, Ian. This is the same stuff I'm studying under different parts. I'll be finding this. Jam says, how's Bunny? And Anthony says, we love Bunny. Okay, so we have a little cloth hutch that we bought the bunny that he never wanted to use because he didn't like where it was, apparently. So I moved it. I moved it to a different location. He has now gotten in it 3 times. And he's gotten in it and looked around and thought about it. Right now he's obsessed with moving a piece of cardboard in front of Ian's chair that we have blocking off a table. And so he's focused on that, and he's rearranges his area. He's got a tube he likes. He's spending more time in the tube, but sometimes he wants to roll it around. I told you last week he took the heart off of the stuffed dog. He's still using the dog and like putting his butt next to the dog when he's like relaxing.
Yeah, it kind of made the dog into a wall, so now he's got a wall he can back himself up to. Feels more comfortable that
Yeah,
way.
and I
Something
think
in his
also it
back.
might give him a feeling like he's not alone, like not the only bunny kind of thing, because it's sort of soft like he is and so forth. And
He's being adorable and so floofy, crazy.
at night, he and I have a ritual that we do where if his food dish is getting a little low, I go and get the bag of food, and I come into the living room, and he hears the bag, he knows what's coming, that he's going to get some special treats because he likes the stuff right on the top. He eats that first, and then he'll start jumping and around my feet and circling me, and then going to check his dish to see if the food is in there. So we did that last night. And we got him some more ginger. He was out of ginger. So when we went grocery shopping, we found a bag of ginger. So he's been very happy with that. We need to order him some more of his little Timothy treats, but because he's out of biscuits, he really likes those biscuits. But the way to a bunny's heart is through his stomach. That's a literal thing. And the more goodies you give him, the happier he is, and he lets you know it. He hasn't stomped at us at all, I don't think. I don't think he's ever stomped at us. Stomping is how they show their displeasure. I was watching a video of bunnies stomping.
Yeah, no, we made a happy little house for him, and thankfully he looks at it as his home. So, unlike the other bunnies that we've got had that have been pre-owned since he grew up with us, he's not trying to escape because he feels like this is his house. Not happy, he doesn't unhappy, he doesn't feel like he needs to go anyplace else. So, not a pick him up type of bunny, but
No, he doesn't like to be picked up at all. That's a definite no. He likes to jump up on your lap, sometimes on Ian's lap. Every so often he'll jump up on mine, but he's being groomed. Ian has figured out how to get him to like the brush to get some of his fur, tangles out and stuff like that.
he's got so much fur.
He has so much fur. Comes out like that. But yeah, so he's pretty adorable. We enjoy having him around, and he's now starting to use the house we got him too. I figured out that he was okay with the mat if I put it in the house, and now he goes in there and just hangs out every so often. So he's, still adjusting, I guess, and figuring out what he likes, and loves to chew cardboard. That seems to be one of his favorite things.
Mostly he's pretty good though about not chewing weird things and things he shouldn't. So he's been best of the three rabbits we've had.
Yeah, no chewing up wires and
Yeah.
trying to get electrocuted. So Astra says, on full moon, the fairies look like they are partying. Oh, yeah. Jam says, need to show us your bunny one day, please.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out a way. We won't be able to pick him up and bring him in because he
No.
wouldn't like that at all.
Oh,
but
this would not be a happy place for him at all.
Yes.
He'd be freaking out because he's never been in here.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that he doesn't like to be picked up. But I on my Facebook page, I've actually put a couple of videos of him up on my Facebook page.
He's got so much fur though. He's a cute little mop.
Yep.
He like floops. Whatever he hops from place to place.
It looks like
his
he's got
fur
a
goes
dress.
like,
It's
floof,
just
floof,
like this.
floof. Yeah.
Yep, it's pretty awesome. Anthony says, any other psychic animal communication experiences like with the octopus at the aquarium? Well, I had the thing with the octopus. I had the thing with the horse. I've had things with crows. I did a whole thing on some of my animal encounters. I had a thing with an anteater at a zoo. I have a lot of them actually, and animals around the neighborhood, and deer and whatnot. So, if you're paying attention, telepathy with animals is actually pretty easy. Certainly had lots of cat communication, like with my cat when I was a kid, and then other cats I've owned and over the years and so forth. So, yep, and my cats are really good at letting me know if something bad happens to them. They come in my dreams and tell me what's going on. That would be cool, Anthony. Pam says, it's your child, yes.
Yeah, I certainly feel that way about our pets.
Pam says, my cats and dog love treats too. And the funny thing is, giving the rabbit a treat, the cat is very flummoxed by that because we ran out of treats for the cat. We need to buy him some more treats.
Oh, yeah, but he inspects the rabbit treats and the rabbit's food. We give the rabbit lettuce, and he goes over there and he like
what are you
sniffs the heck
doing?
out of it for like the longest
He's
time.
like very confused. Like, what is this stuff? Like,
Yep.
Really? This is what you're putting down? Like, is there something wrong with your brain? It's like you got brain damage, right? This is not a treat. And the rabbit's like, get out of the way. I want to eat my breakfast.
That's kind of fun.
Asher says, my cat slams cabinets and shreds the couch to show displeasure. Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, most of our cats are pretty well behaved. Or most of our pets. The only cat thing the cat does is yell about food a little too constantly.
So Jen says, Siofra, do you believe that we can connect to our ancestors that have passed away? The other realms seem so vast, I don't know how they would be able to find us. I don't know how it all works. Does our bond in life connect us, or our shared genetics? How could one connect with an ancestor whom we did not know in life? I would think it'd be through the blood, that would be the way. I don't do ancestor work, so I don't have personal experience with that, but that would make the most sense to me, that it is a familial genetic bond that you would have with an ancestor, and knowing about your particular ancestry, your history, and so forth. Not just like, ancestry.com kind of stuff, but cultural history and so forth. And if you know anything about your relatives, that might help with that. But yeah, I mean, you're unique, and your energy probably fits them in a unique way that we may not be able to express, but I would think it would be through the blood that the connection happens. Robert says, I wish a deity can transform my body so I can eat fruits instead of meat. I love animals too and wants to protect them. Yeah, well, that would be nice if we could get that to happen, wouldn't it? If you could just get a deity to transform your body. I think that's a rare event if that happened, but yeah, Ian needs to eat meat too because of his own physical stuff. And sometimes the genetics you have in the body is, you just have to adapt to it, regardless of your wishes, your heart wishes to the contrary. Carla says, churros and temptations for your cats. Siofra and Ian? Oh, temptations, I think, is what my cat likes.
What we usually end up with,
yeah, we usually end up with those. That's what we have here. Yeah. He had an entire box of them, and he's gone through them all. Because every time the bunny got a treat, he wanted one too. Teresa says, Jen, how about asking your guides to help locate an ancestor who would be willing to communicate with you? Not a bad idea. Gaga says, I was going to try an ancestor altar and put food on it. Yep, sounds like probably a good idea too.
I could try and communicate with my full blood ancestor I got on my dad's side, full blood Native American, but
yeah.
But I don't know what his character was like as a person or anything.
Well, there's always that too.
Grandfather's father on my dad's side.
He was Cherokee, right?
Yep.
Of course, Cherokee kind of like encompassed
Cherokee.
A lot of
Yep.
different groups. They became Cherokee. Jen says, laugh out loud, I'm a vegan and my cat looks at me with disgust when she comes and sniffs my food. Look on her face is like, the crap you eat.
Yep, that's about right. That
yes.
described cat behavior pretty well.
Yeah, that's just like, there's something seriously wrong with you, girl. This is not food. But yeah, cats are very straightforward when it comes to their feelings. I was watching some videos about cats chasing other wild animals, and oh my god, cats chase bears, full-grown bears. They just haul ass and the bear runs, like full on tilt, like getting like, oh my god, what the heck is that? And just running through the woods trying to get away from this cat. And I'm like, boy, you guys are fearless. Apparently they think they're a lot bigger than they actually are. And there was a cat here a couple years ago that actually saved their child from a dog. Some dog was attacking this kid, and their cat came out and attacked the dog and chased him off. Cat got internet fame for a brief period of time.
Of course, our cat doesn't know what to do with the bunny. He occasionally goes to take a swat at the bunny, but the bunny, I don't know if anybody's watched bunnies playing, but they jump a lot at each other and they jump over each other and stuff. And the bunny starts jumping near and around the cat. Cat has no idea what to do. He freaks out and runs and hides. Can't handle this animal flying at him through the air like that, apparently. Okay. It's fun. They're only playing for fun.
Yeah. So Jam says, question, should get sage and burn before doing rods or just crystal and pray? Um, well, sage gets rid of negative energy, so it's always a good thing to do to cleanse yourself before you use a tool. Um, if you want to put positive energy into what you're doing, you'd want to use something other than sage, like, sweet grass or uh, frankincense, maybe, or some other kind of sweet incense.
Frankincense cleansing or is
Bringing in.
evocative.
Okay. Bruce says, one of my cats broke up a dog fight and saved the day. Robert says, oh yeah, Siofra, I saw a video of a big tiger running through the river. Let me tell you, that water was not an obstacle to get to his prey. Teresa says cedar.
Yeah, cedar.
Yeah, cedar would be a good thing. Cedar is actually also good for cleansing death energy from a place. I actually should talk to my granddaughter about that. She can maybe, I don't know if she'll be able to do that or not, but with the cedar for clearing out death energy, you get fresh cedar bough and make a pot of steaming water and make fresh cedar steam from it, and you walk the steam around the space in order to cleanse it of since he didn't die in the house, probably wouldn't be necessary.
Native Americans, where they couldn't get sage in a lot of areas, used angelica. That's one of the things they used around here was angelica when they, sage didn't grow naturally around here, I guess.
Right, because,
So much.
yeah. Astor says, that's why I don't want to be afraid of spirits, because my cat has zero fear of spirits and makes me look like a chicken.
Yeah.
Well, cats are like, they look up, they see the spirit, and they go like, oh, okay, and then they lick. So, if you're worried about looking like a chicken, lick. It's a good distraction. I meant to do that. Lick your hand. Like, not to worry, spirit. I wasn't really afraid. I just cleaning myself here. It's like,
Yeah, they do that when they fall too. They
I know
I didn't do anything bad. I
Yeah,
didn't fall
they
on my
make
ass.
the funniest falls you've ever seen in the universe, and then they can hear that you're about to laugh, and then they go, yeah, nothing to see here.
Lick. And it was,
That's right.
Yep, I meant to do that.
Yep, I'm just grooming. That was just a fun exercise I did. Carlos says apex predators. Astor's laughing. Jam is laughing. That's my two cats. Astor says, yeah, that's what my cat does when he gets nervous or embarrassed.
Yep.
If in doubt, stall. Rindham says, I would humbly ask your thoughts on the power of the acceptance of a suggestion and the flexibility of beliefs to learning and growing in the magical path or life in general. It depends on what the suggestion is and who is making it, because, part of this path is making up your own mind and deciding what feels right to you. If it's somebody that you trust their opinion on something and asking for information, but not asking them to tell you what to do, that's a different level of communication, which I think that would be fine. But I think will is important to us as practitioners, and having our own will intact and maintaining it is really important. It's less likely that you get involved in any kind of occult situation if you feel that you have to do something a way that doesn't feel right to you because someone else told you to do that. Then that's usually a sign that there's something wrong in that. Flexibility of beliefs, being willing to look at the beliefs that you have and why you have them and where they come from, what the origin of your belief is, and to be able to look at it sort of from a distance and evaluate it and understand it and decide whether it's something that you think is still true, or was it only true when you were like 6 years old because you had a bad experience, or was it only true because someone took you to a church and when you were impressionable and they told you that this was a fact. So being able to evaluate everything that you feel is good, because then you can make an informed and conscious choice about what you're going to pursue and how you're going to do it.
Well, that's a trick, to evaluate stuff. You want to be open-minded, but open-minded doesn't mean you just accept anything. It kind of means you're willing to look at anything to find out if there's anything of value to it, but it doesn't mean you necessarily accept anything, but you're open to just evaluating it fairly and then determining whether it has a
Yeah.
place in your life or not.
And the longer you do that, the less time you need to spend on that aspect, because it becomes pretty clear pretty quickly whether something is of interest to you that you want to pursue or not. I'm at that point now, whereas like I'm not interested in learning about that or pursuing that because I have my path, and how I am in the world is pretty well established, and I'm happy with where it is. And I see trends of where this is going to lead or so forth, and it's like, okay, I really don't need to go down that. Not that I think no one should go down it, because other people's beliefs are their beliefs.
Yeah, well, same thing here. When you start learning how many valid beliefs there are so many that a person can't embrace them all.
Right.
So, like me, I studied just far and wide as far as all kinds of different stuff because I'm interested in all of it. But what I actually follow at this point is Barden stuff because it's the best that I've ever found. And until I succeed at all of it, go through all this information, which I don't think is going to happen in my lifetime.
Yep.
So,
So, Jam says, Chickadee 1, my cat, she gets on her 2 feet, stands up and waves and wants a treat. Oh, they're very expressive, that. Asher says, did you hear about the Indonesian crocodiles who pretend to be drowning humans and wave their hands in the water to trick humans into the water? No.
yeah.
Joel says, my her cat, Grenadine, is always in a lambasted detective state of frolic. She's almost a year old now. At 4 months old, she was really affectionate. Hugs are now oratory wipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when she gets to be about 3, she'll probably be very affectionate again. At 5, she'll be a lap cat and never leave. Z-Sun says, hi, Siofra, and hi, all. Hi, Z-Sun. I'm sorry you're coming in at the end of our program. Rynham says, I have found analyzing my programming to be valuable in my own path and learning differing systems on how to program one's own mind and beliefs. Thank you for the wonderful full words right off. Wonderful words right off. You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely valuable.
Yeah. Astor says that brings new meaning to the phrase crocodile tears.
Yep.
Joel says they're about 6th generation Episcopal converts from Catholic, my mom's folk, but too eclectic apologetically for me to believe I'm not inherited certain entitlements. Yeah, we all have to work through that stuff. Rynham says character limits or messages make it difficult to express things in this conversational medium. Introduction into Hermetics was interesting. However, by that point, I was already studying hypnosis. Joel says, I wonder if Grenadine is meant my familiar in any way. Maybe so. Sometimes house pets do become familiars. Rynham says, I have yet to pursue elemental. Asher says, I saw a video of those crocodiles on its back waving its hands, and it looked like a human. It's hilarious and horrifying. They are smart. Well, they have to figure out how to get food, and they're adapting. Juanita says, good evening, all. Hope everyone is having a great weekend and a wonderful day off tomorrow as well. Hi, Juanita. You are the second person to show up at the end of our show today. I'm so sorry.
Is tomorrow a holiday?
Tomorrow is an inauguration and President's Day, and some people have it off, I'm assuming. I will be sequestered, blinders and headphones on. Yeah. Z-Sun says, I usually miss the lives, but watch a lot of your shows and in my downtime. Awesome. I know not everybody can make it to the live, and that's okay, because then I'd have more questions than I could possibly answer. It usually seems to work out. But yeah, so yeah, that's why I try to put out videos. So I'm going to be doing a class tomorrow on ritual sacred space. Creating sacred space will be the class tomorrow afternoon, and I'm going to post the link to the Zoom channel after we're done here onto the community page. I have a limit of 10 people who can attend. I've got 3 already. 2 for sure, maybe a third. So if you log in and it's full, then I decide, I guess, at the time and see what happens. I'm still learning how to make this work so that it works for everybody. But it's going to be at the time my live show usually is, which is at 2 o'clock. And so it's a class full of stories. The altar behind me has got the objects that I'm showing off in the class and talking about how I got them and why they're sacred to me and what sacred means and so forth, and setting up an altar and that kind of thing. So good to discover. Tina says, I came in late too. I'll rewatch later. Carla says, same, Siofra. No ratings from our stupid box. Pam says, Martin Luther King. Yes, that's right. President's Day is next month. I keep these things confused. And what a day. Okay. Gracious Sunchild says, just discovered today that curry is considered more powerful than sage for house cleaning.
Oh,
Okay.
clear your palate, that's for sure. Especially if it's good Thai curry.
Oh,
I love a good Thai curry. Sorry.
Yeah. And Carla says, much love to all. Bye, Siofra and Ian. Thanks again, Ian. And Rhythm says, 2 p.m. Pacific? Yes, 2 p.m. Pacific. Violet says, thank you, too. And Gracious says, let's pour libations for our righteous ancestors in opposition to the entire inauguration.
Thank you for all those hearts.
Thank you for the hearts. Juanita says, it's okay. I shall tune in next week. I caught the end. I'm just cooking a pot roast and gravy in the crock pot and stuff for dinner, so I couldn't reply until now. I got to hear y'all for a bit. Great. Fantastic. Jam says, tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. Dizun says, blessings all and have a good evening. All right, guys. Thank you all for participating. We always appreciate these conversations. And you can always send me an email at shifrasmagicalcove@gmail.com. That's without an apostrophe and all little letters. And yeah, so, okay, guys. See you next week. Love everybody. Melinda says, have a nice evening. Blessings. Alrighty then. And off we go. And Bill says, thanks, Ms. Siofra. Thanks for the answers, and bye. All right.